faced with the sight of my face drained to a pale shade of white as I gazed in fright at him retreating away from the fight. My ancient guide, Virgil, quickly strained to try to regain the reins of the shade of his own angry face and eyes. He stopped right next to me and faced the vast swamp and directed his ear into the dark beyond, like a man who was listening for something far off, because the eye couldn't penetrate the hard fog.
And still we must not fail.
He began to tell.
We must prevail in this contest, or else. No, for the guarantee was offered by Beatrice herself. Oh, how I long for reinforcements to arrive at the citadel.
It wasn't hard to tell, and I could perceive well that he had commenced his sentence with the ominous words, or else, but then covered it up with what came afterwards, finishing with very contrary words to what was first. But I was, of course, nevertheless, instantly afflicted with fear upon hearing the sentence he hadn't ended, because when he left that gap, my mind filled it with perhaps a worse meaning than he had actually intended. So do any souls imprisoned in limbo, where the only punishment is being cut off from any slim hope, ever make this journey down inside of hell to the bottom levels of this deathly spiral shell? I asked this question, and he answered me thus.
It is very seldom that it comes to pass that one of us people, dwelling up in that zone of limbo, carries out this journey on which I now go. True it is, though, that I was once sent here below by conjurations and occult necromancy wove by the pitiless Thessalian witch Erictho, who was summoning spirits back into their dead bones to gain info of my own flesh and body. I had only recently been denuded and just arrived at my eternal location when I was uprooted by this hideous, ruthless witch and made to go through this wall and fetch and call a spirit from the circle of Judas, which is the lowest part of hell and is the darkest and the farthest as well, the farthest away from the heaven which encircles all. I've been before, so I know the way very well. Be reassured. This swamp, this bog of eternal stench, surrounds and encompasses this entire city of death, this city of pain, torture, shouting and fright, where right now we cannot enter without a fight. And the next sight?
He said more, but I no longer have it in mind, because I got completely distracted and my eye was drawn nigh unto the tower's height that glows bright with a flame red light, where right at that moment in time I saw above 3 Furies, goddesses of vengeance, rise up above the parapet, jump, covered in blood, their bodies and limbs like women, but with green hydras writhing around their waists, and adders and venomous horned snakes hissing, hanging instead of hair from their heads. These harpies were born from the bloodshed when Kronos castrated his father Uranus and tossed his genitals into the seas. And Virgil knew these maid servants of Persephone, the queen of perpetual weeping. So he said,
look and see, the gatekeepers of this, the ferocious entities. They feed on and reflect our worst jealousies. That's Megiddo on the left, hateful envy. Alecto, the unceasing, is on the right, weeping with Persephone, the destructive avenger. Between them,
he ceased speaking. Each one was ripping at her own breasts, flailing her chest with her sharp nails, tearing the flesh and punching the bleeding wounds with her fists, screaming so loud that I pressed close to Virgil in dread. Medusa, come up here and turn him to concrete, they shouted while looking at me. It was a big mistake that we didn't kill Theseus when he came down before. Since then the living horde felt like they could just walk through the door.
They call on the Gorgon, once beautiful Medusa, cursed by Athena for being raped by Jupiter. Face away, keep your eyes closed tight, don't look at her, for if she arrives and you lock eyes, you will never leave the realm of Lucifer.
Said Virgil, my poetic idol and guide through hell, and he grabbed me and turned me around himself, and not trusting that my hands could keep my eyes closed, he covered and clamped them shut with his own. All of you who possess healthy intellects, seek the meaning that is hidden in the depths, concealed and sealed with great purpose, submerged beneath the veil of these strange verses. All of you who possess healthy intellects, seek the meaning that is hidden in the depths, concealed and sealed with great purpose, submerged beneath the veil of these strange verses. And at that precise moment there came, across the turbulent Stygian waves, a crashing sound and rumble of such a terrifying sort that it caused the shaking of both shores of the lake. A wail, exactly like that of a tempestuous gale, like when cold and hot air meet and flail. A ferocious cyclone with a force so great, assailing and attacking a forest without restraint, tearing off branches branches and limbs in a ferocious battery, smashing trees and uprooting and dragging them away. Picking up dust and debris, it spreads relentless, causing the fleeing of wild animals and shepherds. Virgil finally let go of my eyes so I could observe, and said,
"Look, direct your optic nerve out into that ancient swamp, out to the horizon, over there where you can see the most smoke rising."
Just like frogs in a pond frantically leap, scatter and scramble, desperate to escape away from an approaching deadly snake, until they all lie in a heap on the shore of the pond or lake. In this exact way, more than 1,000 ruined souls were stampeding over each other beyond all control, trying frantically to get out of the way of a solitary figure who stepped, walking over the river Styx with feet not even wet. And as he trekked, he was waving his left hand disdainful in front of his face, as if he found the air distasteful, fanning away the stale putrid fumes in front of him, as if that were the only thing in all hell that remotely bothered him. There was no mistaking, I had the instant perception. This was a messenger, an archangel descended from heaven. I turned to Virgil, who made an urgent soundless hint that I should stand silent and bow my head. This angel was the entire force sent to storm the city and blast it open so we could gain entry, but he just seemed somewhat annoyed, and instead of a flaming sword he pulled out a little wand and instantly opened the door, and there was no resistance at all from hell's hordes.
"Oh, you who are all banished and condemned to fall, despised, exiled from the celestial city wall,"
he said while on the porch,
"what is the source of this arrogance you dare to sport? How dare you even think of refusing to bend to the divine infinite will which will never end, and which has again and again defeated, thwarted, and restrained you and increased your pain? What on earth's purpose does it serve, resisting these certainties? Remember what occurred when Hercules came and wrestled your Cerberus, dragging him to the surface, and his chin and neck still bear the bleeding scars from this."
Then this archangel disdainfully turned around and began walking back across the surface of the swampy river track, without looking at us or saying one word of greeting or goodbye. But in fact he had that look in his eye of someone who has other cares and concerns on his mind than those of the people in whose presence he currently is. So when he left us alone in the mist, we faced the city of Dis and directed our feet towards the entrance with more confidence after that epic and effective archangelic rhetoric, and we entered in with slight hesitance, without anyone contesting it, walking through the portcullis and defenses with no one defending it. And after being blocked out and put on hold, I was now eager to behold what a formidable dark fortress like this must hold. So at the very moment that I got behind the walls, I started to spy around with my eye and beheld a vast plain in all directions, full of death, distress, depression, and torturous affliction. I was reminded of Arles, the city at the mouth of the river Rhone in the south of France, with a vast graveyard full of tombstones, or near the Gulf of Cavana, the waters on Italy's eastern borders, the city of Pula, with its massive cemetery for ancient warriors. I was reminded of all this as I was looking out over a horrid necropolis, a gnarled landscape with graves and tombs that dotted this. The difference was that here the image was not of peace, serenity, and eternal rest, but of constant hardship, pain, and bitterness. For within each of these fearsome, dreadful graves burned, glowed, and spit out blistering, terrible flames, which heated the grave pits with such a force that iron is not hotter when it melts and liquefies in a forge. And all of the lids of the graves were off, so that light, heat, and noise was blasting out of the top. And from each one of them came such screams and cries that it seemed like crowds of thousands of people were burning alive inside. And I said in fright, "Master, please shed light. Tell me, who are the people who are confined, buried alive in those tombs and burning in the flames, or so it seems, who are making these deafening, torturous screams?"
And he said to this, "These are the heretics, those who deviated from the correct religious scripts, those who joined breakaway sects or refused to credit that the afterlife could ever exist. And these tombs are each more crowded than you could ever think. For the heretics are piled together, tethered to burn forever, with all those whose beliefs they shared, whosoever. And the temperature varies, some hot as lava, some less."
Then we turned right, not left, passing betwixt those graves of torture and burning flesh, and the city's tall defensive battlements and parapets.